Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, I want to show you a really weird deck that did weirdly well at the International Championships over in Berlin. It's a deck that I didn't have on my radar, and I'm willing to bet a whole bunch of you didn't have on your radar. But given that it got top 64 at the biggest tournament we have ever had in Europe, and given that it was played by Pedro Eugenio Torres, one of the very best players in Europe, and given that it plays some really weird cards, I think it's time we had a little bit of a gander. And we need to go a little bit fast because there's a whole bunch of weird stuff in this deck. So starting off, we have got a 4-free line of Shedinja. And ladies and gentlemen, Shedinja is fun. You can basically turn it into a Pokemon tool, and then you can attach it to one of your Pokemon, and it's a life dew. It means that you give up one fewer prize when that Pokemon gets KO'd. Tell me that doesn't sound like an awful lot of fun. I might call you a liar. And the other thing we see here is an Oranguru from Ultra Prism. And Oranguru's got for a single colourless energy resource management. Put 3 cards from your discard pile onto the bottom of your deck in any order that you like, which you can use to recover anything in your deck, including Shedinja. So you use Oranguru to resource management, but the problem is if your opponent KOs you, they don't get a prize because you got Shedinja attached. And look, they're going to have Field Blower, and they're going to Field Blower a couple of Shedinja off, and then they're going to run out of steam, and they're not going to have any Field Blower anymore. And then you're going to have Shedinja on still, and then not going to be able to get rid of it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when you start really cleaning up. The combination of Oranguru and Shedinja is great, because you can just keep recovering Shedinja. Your opponent probably can't keep recovering their Field Blower, and that's how you win the game. Because then you're playing around with all of your tricks, and your tricks are many, we'll get to them in a moment. And your opponent just runs out of tricks. And your opponent has to stop. Because there's nothing your opponent can do, because they're not taking any prizes when they take a KO. And then you just kind of sit there and chuckle for a little while. Now, there are a whole bunch of other Pokemon in this deck. We play a 4-4 Zebstrika line. Zebstrika is very aggressive draw power. It lets you discard your hand and draw 4 cards. In a lot of decks, you wouldn't want a 4-4 line because, frankly, you couldn't afford a 4-4 line, but because you'd run out of cards in your deck. But when you're playing Oranguru and you're putting 3 cards on the bottom of your deck every turn, you can't deck out. Because the last thing you do at the end of your turn is put 3 cards on your deck. And then you draw one, and then you draw the other 2 using Zebstrika. This just gives you speed for days. Also, right, when you run out of stuff in your deck, you put 3 there with Oranguru. Zebstrika guarantees that you draw all of your cards. It's kind of fun. We also see a 1-1 line of Slowking here. Now, okay, we do actually play Water Energy here. Look at your opponent's hand and put a card you find there into the Lost Zone. And this is what we're playing the Water Energy for. This is the only thing we're playing the Water Energy for. You can get rid of stuff. You can Lost Zone the cards your opponent really needs. Maybe you catch them with a Field Blower or something. And then you're just taking away all their tricks. And that's kind of fun. Now also 60 damage plus 20 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. You can get some big KOs there. It's not really the reason you're playing it. And most of the time your attack is going to be Oranguru anyway. But we need to play some basic energy. It might as well be water so we can use Slowking. We also have a copy of Durant here. Double colourless energy. Discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. You're going to get to a point where your opponent has very little left in their deck. And neither do you, but you can't deck out because you're playing Oranguru. Durant tips them over the edge and you win. Now 20 damage, discard a stadium in play. Maybe there's a stadium you really want to get rid of and this can help. But generally speaking, you know, bit of mill never did anyone any harm. We're playing one Ditto Prism Star because, well, it's Ditto Prism Star. We're playing a bunch of stage 1s. This allows you to evolve into any stage 1. If you're playing multiple stage 1s, you should probably be playing this. And then one Tapu Lele GX. Look, we don't want to be playing any GXs in this deck. We want to be going GX free, but sometimes you got to play a GX. Sometimes you need that supporter. You don't want to lose because you've got nothing. So we play one GX, and we cross our fingers, and we hope we don't start with it, because if we do, bad news bears, quite frankly. Bad news bears. Now, as we move into the trainers, there are a lot of different trainers. Now, Professor Al's lecture getting us free Pokemon with 60 HP or less, that's cool. That works. And it means we can start setting up all of our stage 1s, our Shedinjas, etc., which is quite nice. Our Zebstrikers gets us rolling. 4 copies of Lily, it's a pretty good draw card, and we don't always want to shuffle draw here, so this helps us draw what we need, which is nice. 2 copies of Brock's Grit to recover your Pokemon, especially stuff like Shedinja, which you just want over and over again. 2 copies of Gladion. You're playing so many things here and so many one-offs, you've got to be able to get them out the prizes if they are prize. That's where Gladion comes in. 1 copy of Ingo and Emmett. Now this is quite important because it lets you draw the bottom 5 cards of your deck. And remember, Oranguru puts cards on the bottom of your deck. And sure, you can use Looker, and that draws free. That's good. Now, to be fair, Ingo and Emmett does ask you to discard your entire hand, but like we said with Zebstrika, in a deck where you basically can't deck out, this isn't a problem. 1 copy of Tate and Liza, it's draw power and a switch. It's pretty good. 1 copy of Faber so that you can Lost Zone a special energy or stadium or tool. And along with Slowking here, we've got some genuine Lost Zone potential. In terms of Pokemon, 4 Ultra Ball, which can grab any Pokemon, 4 Nest Ball, which can only grab your basics, and 3 copies of Great Ball, which is slightly less reliable, but you're already playing the maximum number of Nest Ball and Ultra Ball. This is the deck's way of saying, I need to set up here, and it's really important. So you do. And then we get to the Energy Denial. 2 Crushing Hammer, 1 Enhanced Hammer. Doesn't sound like a huge amount, but remember, you can only really usually attach 1 per turn, and remember that they can be reused near infinitely using Oranguru, and you're absolutely fine here. 1 copy of Counter Catcher, you're basically always going to be behind on prizes, so Counter Catcher allows you to drag something off the bench and strand it in the active. And look, this is a deck out deck. You're not really dealing any damage here. This is supposed to frustrate you until you deck out. And remember, soon as your opponent takes a prize, you're behind on prizes. And also remember that you can keep reusing Counter Catcher using Oranguru, so 1 will be enough. 1 Rescue Stretcher to get your Pokemon back. We're also playing Brock's Grip, but Rescue Stretcher's kind of fun. 1 Super Scooper, which is kind of nice. It lets you pick up your Pokemon if you got something trapped in the active or if something's a bit too damaged or whatever. And then finishing off with a couple copies of Sky Pillar. It's a stadium we see a little bit of here and there. It basically prevents your opponent doing anything to bench Pokemon. And this just stops you against those decks like Tapu Koko that can spread damage a little bit faster than you can set up. And in terms of the energy here, we got 3 water energy, 1 double colorless. Generally, the water energy will do, but as we've said, we got double colorless for stuff like Durant, etc. I'm not convinced by this deck, if I'm honest with you. I think that you've got stuff like Malamar decks that recover their energy, which are probably okay. Stuff like Naganadel decks that can recover their energy, which are probably going to be alright. But I do very strongly believe that any deck that's not ready for this can find themselves in a world of trouble very quickly, as Oranguru gets rid of all your energy, keeps bringing Pokemon off the bench you don't want, and just sits there while you deck out and lose and cry a little bit. Either way, this is a fun deck, and it's one you should be having a bit of a play with. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, a very fun deck, a very weird deck, a very new deck, and one which I think is kind of cool. But I'd like to know what you think. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.